Hey, it's RJ Pransky here with another lesson in Microvellum Toolbox. Now, we're all trying to be more efficient when we're working on these projects. I mean, the idea is to increase the profit margin, right? So why would we want to use multiple applications to produce something that we can do in just one? And when it comes to estimates, I know a lot of people out there are doing just that. Doing your takeoffs and generating quotes for your customers in one app, then once awarded the project, now it's up to the drafters and engineers to pick up the slack and get that work out to production. Now, we could save a lot of time if we just started off by doing all of this in Toolbox. That means providing that accurate quote for the customer, creating job costing reports with pricing for materials and labor, and if you wanted to, even a simple drawing showing the cabinet layout. So follow along in this next video, and I'll show you how we can get that done. All right, so let's go through the process on how we can create a quote for a customer and a material and labor takeoff for this project. First thing we're looking at here is the job site floor plan that was given to us by our customer. Hopefully you'll have an elevation drawing too, so we don't have to make too many assumptions when we're adding these products to the project. But with this here, we can pull a dimension and figure out what size room we're working with. So we got 10 feet on this wall and the 7-foot run here. You see we have that refrigerator opening, so we can also add an appliance to show in this drawing. Now into the product list, we can start adding products directly to this list without having to add anything to the drawing. Selecting on our room and then into the library of products, find our sink cabinet, and we'll make that one the first one we add to this list. You can double click or right click and add product to project and enter the different properties needed for this product. Some of the properties here are coming in from the project wizard or the project level properties, so not necessary to change everything inside of here. Just make sure that you have your project properties set up the way that you want this project to be built. For the width, we'll give it a width of 34 inches, and we do need to have a left filler on this cabinet. Now, a lot of this information isn't critical at this point. We're really just trying to get some products in the list so we can generate a quote and get pricing for this job. Next to the sink cabinet, there's going to be 3 drawer stacks. So we'll go find our base 3 drawer, add that product to the project. I'll give this one a new width and a quantity of 3. And then just complete this list with all the products that are going to be needed for the project, and we're ready to create a work order directly from this list here. So I went ahead and added the rest of the products that we need for this project, made some assumptions on the cabinet sizes. Obviously, we'll have to update those after we get awarded this project and go out and pull some field measurements. But now we're ready to create a work order from this list and generate a quote and some job costing reports from these products. If you want to, you can give this work order a unique name. Right now, we're just pulling in the project name and today's date. And as the parts are being processed in this work order, it's retrieving all that data and giving us the accurate pricing for this project. Now that processing is done, we can go into the processing center and open up this report and see what kind of pricing we got. Now, setting up pricing should obviously be done prior to doing all this inside of a project. You want to make sure that your material has the correct pricing, and then all the different stations that these parts go through during assembly have the correct time and labor cost assigned to them. Now we can go into our cost estimating report, which will give us the quote for the customer, a shop labor quote, and a shop quote all in one. You see here these next 3 reports below have them broken out individually. On the cover page of the project quote, we have the total amount for the project, along with the quote number, the issue date, and the date that it's going to expire. By default, they're set up to expire in 30 days. We'll have a description of the project, along with all the different products. Now, these products aren't displaying prices, but we do have that option. If you were to check this box here and hit the submit button, these reports are fully dynamic, so as we make one change and resubmit, we'll update automatically. And now you can see we have those additional columns filled out with those values. The terms and conditions, now this is coming in by default. To change the terms and conditions, you would want to design this report through our report designer. And we have other videos that go through more detail on how to do just that. If it was specific to this project, you can edit this page directly from here. This is the same interface that you'll see in that report designer, but this would just be project specific if we were to do it here. So there's the quote for our customer, and then we get down into our shop quote, which will give us the cost for materials that will be used for the project, along with any buyouts, edge banding, or hardware. We also have a labor report, which will break down the time needed to complete this project. So from drafting to manufacturing to shipping and installation. And like I previously mentioned, this report is completely dynamic. So if we got this far and decided that we don't need to install this project, we can uncheck this box, hit the submit button, and we'll watch the installation labor cost be removed from this quote. Same thing goes for markup, overhead, sales tax. If anything else needed to be adjusted here, we can do that and regenerate all the costing for this project. Now the total amount has decreased with the installation cost gone. We even have a new description that now says the project will be fully assembled, but only delivered to the job site. Installation is on you. and no more line items showing the cost of installation. So just some of the things that you can do directly inside of this report. Now back into the processing center, I also want to show you how we can go into the work order and make modifications here to the actual material that's being used. So we have our sheet stock material, if there were solid stock, buyout, edge banding, or hardware. So if the cost of hardware went up and we didn't make that change at the template, we can do it here inside of the work order. Selecting on that handle rod, if we wanted to change the price on that, we can. In the materials, the same thing. I'll show you how we can change the estimate price of $96. Let's just go to $200 a sheet. And as we open up the report again, we'll see that updated cost. We don't need to create a new work order to do this. This is all happening in real time. So open up that shop quote, and we'll take a look at the cost of this plastic laminate material. So we had an increase in cost there, showing it now to be over $1,200. I'll do that again to the 1/4 inch so we can see the change. We go back into the modify work order, change the cost of that, and again, we'll just inflate it some crazy amount. Let's just go 300 so we can see the difference as we open up that report. And there's the 1/4 inch now giving us a cost of $225. So really helpful if you need to make any changes after you've gone through creating the work order by going into the modify work order and adjusting some of the pricing. Now that was just the material that we were able to adjust there. If we go into the activity stations, we can also make any changes that we needed to the different departments for this project. So if we felt like the part cutting was going to take a little bit longer, we can make that adjustment. Anything inside of the assembly activities, we can edit inside of this interface here. Even adding a new activity station, we can right click and add a new activity station. So all this can be done directly inside of the processing center. You can also get there the same way by going through Toolbox Setup, under Options, and then the processing stations and this icon here to the activity stations. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the activity station number should not be edited just because the reports look to that specific number for the information. So when adding a new activity station, just give it a new unique number that's not being used inside of that department. Now, I do recommend watching some of our other videos on setting up your activity stations and pricing for materials. Now, if we're happy with the way that everything looks on this quote, we're ready to print it out and send it off to the customer and hopefully get that approval. So that's how we can take the data that Toolbox gives us to generate a quote or a report for job costing. And now let me show you how we can take those products that we had in our product list, add them to our drawing so we can show our customer just a quick representation of what they'll be getting. Now that we have all the products inside of our product list, the next step would be to show our customer a simple drawing of what they're going to be getting. Now, this isn't required on all new projects. Some customers will only want to see the quote, where others want to see the quote and a drawing of their project. Now, because we use the products inside of our library, we have them inside of our product viewer ready to be added inside of this drawing. The first step would be laying out the walls based off of that PDF floor plan. And then from there, adding the products from our product viewer. By selecting that product, we can right click, place the product on the wall. And because we took the time to set it up when adding it through the product list, no need to do anything else here. Just add the product to the drawing. And then we can move forward by adding the rest of them on these walls. Here, we're going to place the product next to another product. And because we had quantity 3 inside of the product list, we want to make sure that we give this the same quantity. Now just finish adding these products to the walls and we're ready to send off a drawing to the customer along with the project quote. All right, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and package up this quote and these drawings so we can send off to the customer. And that's the way that we can use Toolbox for our estimating and job costing needs. Thanks for joining me in another lesson in Microvellum University, and I'll see you on the next one.